Okay, Assalamualaikum. Selamat sejahtera, students. Last class, we have learned on the illustration for Laut Damai Berhad as a sample for our discussion. So today, we are going to continue on the next question, that is eco-dynamic berhad. So as usual, this question will ask you to prepare the complete set of financial statement which comprise of the following, the SOPL, SOFPI, SOCI, and notes. Okay, so how do we start? As I mentioned you before this, we need to analyze and classify the accounting elements. Okay, if you still remember, we need to identify correctly the accounting elements. What are the accounting elements? Okay, we have 5 main accounting elements. They are assets, okay, followed by liability, equity, revenue, and expenses. And another important thing is that you need to know the different account that comprise within the accounting element. So in this question, we will continue on what we have learned as what I taught you in the previous illustration of Laut Damai. Okay, I will show you the step-by-step approach in preparing this financial statement. So, you can jot down, okay, in your question paper, okay, add this additional column, okay, where the first step, as I mentioned to you, is let us analyze and classify the accounting elements so that we know where to post this item. So we go one by one. Number one, okay, as an example, ordinary shares. So ordinary shares is example of equity. Therefore, equity shall be recorded under SOCI, statement of changes in equity. I indicate it in a red font. Okay, next, okay, why do I highlight this item? Because as I mentioned to you, be careful. Even though the name is, okay, preference shares, but the substance, it is not a share capital. It is classified under liability, non-current liability. So RPS is a non-current liability, therefore it will be recorded under SOFPI, statement of financial position. Okay, followed by the next item, okay, administrative expenses. Okay, clearly it is under SOPL because it is an expenses and it is under administrative. Remember I mentioned to you that under MFRS we can classify or present our expenses by nature or by function. So for our syllabus we will follow by by function, where we categorize into 3 different functions. They are admin, okay, distribution, and finance. Okay, so just continue with the rest of the item, as I taught you before in Laut Damai. So finally, these are the classification of the accounting elements. This is actually part of your working lah before you start preparing the requirement of the question, where the statement, this one you can just jot down, conteng-conteng saja dalam kertas soalan awak. Okay, remember, okay, but last but not least, for the classification, when you have classified all these non-current asset into SOFPI, don't forget when you want to present this item in the SOFPI, you need to group it under one accounting item known as property, plant, and equipment. Okay, I hope you still remember how to derive to the final figure of property, plant, and equipment is by preparing the notes to the financial statement. And usually, this will help you a lot because in the question, the notes on the PPE will be required. Okay, will be required. It is one of the compulsory notes that asked by the question. Okay, so that is step number 1. That is, we classify it into the correct accounting element and SOFPI. Okay, the next part is, step number 2 is to prepare the adjusting entries at the end of the period. Now, this one, okay, as a beginner, I advise you to jot down the adjustment for each of the additional information. However, once you have practiced it a lot, you can just do it simultaneously when you prepare the financial statement. Yeah? So, since we have practice it before, so I will do directly on the face of the statement regarding the adjustment. Okay, so step number 3 is, step number 3, we are going to prepare the financial statements. The set of this financial statement will be SOPL, SOCI, SOFPI, and notes to the financial statement. As I mentioned to you, the statement of cash flow will only be tested during part 3. In financial accounting 3, that is 4 to 10. Okay, class. So you have classified all the element into this respective statement. So you just transfer. I indicate all the item under SOPL as a green color. In green color. So how to prepare the SOPL? Okay, remember SOPL contains information about the company's revenue and expenses, where at the end it will result either profit or loss. So the first one, of course, gather all the information. Okay, we have done in step 1. Next, okay, we start by making the heading of the statement. So the heading will have 2 lines. The first line usually the name of the company, and the next line is the title of the statement. So don't forget that for SOPL we use for the year ended. So we use this phrase for the year ended 31st December 2003, since we reporting the whole period. We reporting all the income and expenditure, or revenue and expenses for the whole period. Okay, next is, okay, you start report all the revenue and expenses accordingly. Remember, follow the format. Yes, follow the format closely. So we start with the revenue, also known as sales. This one, also known as turnover. Okay, so since there is no adjustment, you just pick up the figure and paste it in the statement. Okay, next, cost of sale. Since we don't have the item of cost of sale directly in the closing balance, so we have to figure out, we have to work out, because we cannot put the single item on the face of the statement. We can only put the item of cost of sales. Therefore, we have to work out. You have to memorize what we have learned in part 1. Cost of sale consists of the adjustment of opening balance, purchases, closing balance. That is the list 1. So here we are, we have 112,200 ringgit. Then you will have the gross profit, and followed by the rest. Now remember, for the expenses, as I mentioned to you, you have to group it into its function. So from the closing balance in the question, you have to classify each of the expenses into the correct function, into its function. So as an example, I've jotted down here, okay, director's remuneration is part of the administrative, similar to office rental. And don't forget, while you classify the expenses into its function correctly, you also need to, adjust for the additional information given. As an example, additional information number 2 is about depreciation of non-current expenses, a non-current asset. Depreciation is one of the company's expenses. Therefore, it shall be recorded in SOPL. However, the closing balance that you get from the book of Ecodynamic as at 31st December 2003 does not include the depreciation. Okay, therefore, you have to adjust, since the depreciation amount is considered as part of the transaction happened at the end of the year. Therefore, here, those that highlighted in yellow color represents the adjusting entries actually. But I don't show you the debit and credit entry. I hope you have learned it when we learn during Laut Damai Berhad. So depreciation will be added up into admin expenses. Next, what else? Okay, it is also mentioned that the office, okay, were rented at 1,100 ringgit per month and accrued. And accrued on debenture interest need to be provided for. So there are two items that need to be adjusted here. One is the office rental and the other one is on the debenture interest. So as you can see here, okay, in this row, I already highlight for the adjustment. So you have to add another 2,200 ringgit for office rental and 2,400 ringgit for the interest on debenture. As for the double entry, you have to record it in another entry which is in the statement of financial position here. Since it is an accrued expenses, it is categorized under current liability. Therefore, it accrued interest on debenture and also, the office rental is not fall under accrued. You have overpaid it, right? Okay, you have overpaid it based on the closing balance here. Okay, the office rental have been paid 15,400 ringgit. Actually, the expenses should be 13,200 ringgit. Therefore, you have overpaid by 2,200 ringgit. This item should be classified as a current asset. Okay, I hope you still remember this adjustment we have learned during part 1 lesson. Okay, so therefore, after we have gathered and report all the revenue and expenses, we will calculate for the profit after taxation. But before that, we will come to the profit before taxation. So, bear in mind that since company is subject to corporate tax, okay, the tax expense should be deducted to get the net profit for the year. Since the corporate tax is based on the profit, so first we have to calculate for the profit before tax. Then you minus for the tax expense to get the profit after tax or profit for the year. So, remember, since we are preparing SOPL on accrual basis, you shall take the amount of the tax expense, not on the tax paid. So, as you can see here, in the trial balance, okay, where is the amount of tax? Okay, here it said that tax paid is 40,000. But from the additional information, it says that the tax charge should be 68,578. So on accrual basis, we shall take this amount. Since we have underpaid it, therefore the difference will be treated as a tax payable under current liability. Okay, class. So that's all for preparation of SOPL. Next video, we shall continue on the preparation of statement of changes and equity. Yes. Okay, thank you.